The old oak house. For 3 years, I had called the old Victorian house on Maple Street my home. Nestled between towering oak trees, it was a quaint relic of a bygone era, filled with creaky floorboards and the faint scent of mothballs. My family moved here after I accepted a job at a local publishing company. My wife Sarah and our 2 children, Lily and Noah, loved the charm of the place, but I was never fully comfortable. Something about the house felt off. It began with small things. One evening, after a long day at work, I returned home to find Noah standing in the hallway, staring at the wall. "What are you looking at, buddy?" I asked, ruffling his hair. "There's a lady," he whispered, eyes wide. "A lady?" I chuckled, brushing it off. "What kind of lady?" "She wears a white dress. She's sad." I knelt to his level, wanting to dismiss it as childhood imagination. "You know it's just shadows, right?" But deep down, a shiver ran through me. As weeks passed, the occurrences escalated. One night, after a long day at work, I woke to the sound of soft footsteps echoing down the hallway. I could hear Sarah's gentle breathing beside me, and I held my breath, listening intently. The sound continued, deliberate and slow. I got out of bed, heart racing. "Sarah!" I called softly, but no response. I ventured into the hallway, feeling the cool air brush against my skin. The footsteps stopped abruptly, and I peered into the dark, expecting a prank from my kids. Instead, the air felt thick and heavy, as if the house itself were holding its breath. "Dad?" Lily's voice broke the silence as she emerged from her room, eyes wide with fear. "Did you hear that?" "Yeah, I did." "It's probably just the wind," I assured her, but my voice wavered. The following weekend, Sarah and I hosted a small dinner party for friends, hoping for a distraction. We laughed over appetizers, the clinking of glasses warming the room, but occasionally I felt a chill creeping through me. During a lull in conversation, Sarah said, "Has anyone experienced anything strange in this house? Like maybe a ghost?" "Come on, Sarah," Tom laughed. "Not this again." But then, without warning, a picture frame on the wall tilted and fell on the floor, silencing the room. "What just happened?" My voice mixed disbelief and rising panic. I didn't touch it," Sarah stammered, her face pale. Tom picked up the frame, examining it closely. "Maybe a draft," he shrugged. "Old houses do weird things." But I knew it wasn't just drafts. That night, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, listening. The footsteps returned, accompanied by a low, sorrowful hum that echoed in my mind like a forgotten lullaby. Days turned into weeks, and the experiences became impossible to ignore. Objects began to move on their own. A spoon would slide off the table, or a book would fall from the shelf without anyone near. One day, Noah came running into the kitchen, wide-eyed. "She's in my room, Dad. She wants to play." "Who?" I asked, feeling my patience fray. "The lady in the white dress," he exclaimed. "She's not scary. She just wants to be friends." I tried to explain it away, but doubt gnawed at me. I turned to Sarah for support, but she started to believe Noah. "Maybe she's just lonely," she suggested one night, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lonely?" I felt a surge of frustration. "It's just a figment of their imagination, right?" she said. "Maybe it's more than that." One stormy night, the power flickered and then went out. I grabbed a flashlight, illuminating the dark corners of the house. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows, and I walked down the hallway. I caught a glimpse of a figure in white at the end of the corridor. "Sarah!" I called, but when I turned the flashlight toward it, nothing was there. Just shadows folding into shadows. My heart raced as I felt a cold breeze pass through me, almost like a whisper. "Help me." The words echoed in my mind, and I stumbled back against the wall, breathless. The next morning, I confronted Noah, my skepticism faltering. "Did you see her again? The lady?" He nodded solemnly. "She said she needs help. She's waiting." I laughed, but it was hollow. "What do you think she needs help with?" "I don't know, Dad, but she's sad." A knot formed in my stomach. Was this all in my mind? I spent the day researching our house's history, finding snippets of its past, rumors of a tragic loss, a mother who had lost her child. That night, I gathered my family. If she's real, if she's sad and needs help, what should we do? Lily suggested we invite her to join us, sharing stories as a family. I felt foolish, but desperation lingered. The next evening, we set an empty chair at the table. "If you're here, we want to listen," I said, trying to sound brave. The air felt different, almost alive with anticipation. A soft knock echoed from the hallway, and the chair creaked ever so slightly. I froze, barely breathing. The kids looked at me, wide-eyed, and I could feel my heart pounding in my chest. "Is anyone there?" Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. Silence enveloped us, thick and foreboding. Then a cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing the candles we had lit. Darkness engulfed us. "Did you feel that?" Noah asked, almost in a gasp. "Yeah," I managed, feeling a mix of dread and intrigue. The night ended without resolution, leaving us with more questions than answers. The old oak house remained silent, holding its secrets close, and I couldn't shake the feeling that the lady in white was still watching, her story untold. As I lay in bed later, I wondered if I was losing my mind or if, perhaps, just perhaps, some mysteries should remain unsolved. The Whispers of Maple Grove. Life in Maple Grove, a quaint town in Ohio, was simple and predictable. I lived with my wife, Clara, and our son, Tommy, in a charming two-story house with weathered wooden floors and peeling wallpaper that whispered stories of the past. My days were spent working at a local tech company, while evenings often revolved around building Lego creations with Tommy, who is 6 and full of wild imagination. One Friday, I decided to take the family on a weekend trip to a nearby cabin, hoping to disconnect from screens and reconnect as a family. The cabin, owned by Clara's late aunt, was an old rustic structure surrounded by towering pines. Though it had been empty for years, Clara insisted it would be a cozy retreat. As we arrived, the sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows among the trees. The air was fragrant with pine, and the chirping of crickets filled our ears. However, as we settled in, I felt an odd sensation, as if the cabin itself was watching us. That first night, after a hearty dinner, we gathered around the fireplace. Clara flipped through an old photo album she had found. "Look at this one," she exclaimed, showing a picture of her aunt, a young woman with striking blue eyes. She loved this place. I sipped my drink, eyeing the flickering flames. "Yeah, it seems a bit too quiet, doesn't it?" I remarked, trying to lighten the mood. Tommy was lost in his own world, his Lego pieces scattered around the rug. Suddenly, I heard a soft whisper, like a gentle breeze rustling through leaves. "Did you hear that?" I asked to Clara. She shook her head, looking concerned. Maybe the wind. I shrugged it off, leaning back into the worn leather couch. But that night, as I drifted to sleep, the whispers grew louder, morphing into indistinct voices echoing in my mind. The next day, while Tommy played outside, I wandered through the cabin, inspecting every corner. It felt unusually cold in certain spots, and a shiver ran down my spine as I approached an old mirror hanging in the hallway. My reflections seemed to waver, almost alive. I blinked and caught a fleeting glimpse of a shadowy figure behind me. I whipped around, heart racing, but found only an empty hallway. "Dad!" Tommy called from outside, breaking my trance. I hurried out, brushing off my unease as I laughed with him, but the feeling lingered. That evening, after another day of exploring, Clara and I sat on the porch sipping warm cider, the night air wrapping around us. "You seem off," she said, her eyes searching mine. "Are you okay?" Just the cabin gives me the creeps," I admitted. "It's probably just the isolation." "Or maybe your imagination," she teased, though there was concern in her voice. Later, after Tommy was tucked in, I heard the whispers again. This time they were clearer, almost pleading. I stepped into the dimly lit hallway, heart pounding. "Hello!" I called out, but only silence answered. A cold draft swept past me, and a picture frame hanging on the wall tilted dramatically before dropping to the floor and shattering. Clara rushed out, wide-eyed. "What happened?" "I swear it just moved," I stammered, crouching to pick up the glass. But she knelt beside me, skeptical. Maybe it was just the wind again. The next morning, I decided to confront my fears. I grabbed my phone and began recording a video in the cabin. "If anyone is here with us, show yourself," I said, trying to sound brave despite my trembling voice. I turned the camera toward the old mirror, capturing its cracked surface. Suddenly, a chill enveloped me, and I felt a presence behind me. I spun around, but there was nothing, only shadows in the corners. "Did you see that?" I asked Clara, who was preparing breakfast. She looked up, frowning. "See what?" "Never mind," I muttered, feeling foolish. By our last night, the atmosphere thickened, suffocatingly dense. We gathered around the fireplace, flames crackling, sharing ghost stories, half laughing, half nervous. As I recounted a tale about a haunted lighthouse, Tommy interrupted. "Dad, I saw a lady in the window earlier. She was waving at me." My heart sank. "What do you mean, Tommy?" I asked carefully. "I don't know. She just looked sad." He shrugged, bewildering me. Clara shot me a knowing glance, grappling with her own doubts. That night, the whispers returned, wrapping around me like a shroud. I lay awake, unable to shake the sense of being watched, as if the cabin was alive, waiting for something to unfold. As dawn broke, the air felt heavy, thick with unspoken words. We packed up, leaving behind the creeping shadows of the cabin. Just as we were about to drive away, I glimpsed the window where Tommy had seen the lady. For a fleeting moment, I thought I saw her reflection, watching us leave. "Did you feel that?" I asked Clara, my voice barely a whisper. She nodded slowly, her brow furrowed. "Yeah, let's just go." As we drove away, I glanced back at the cabin, its weathered form receding into the trees. Had it all really happened? Or was it merely a trick of my mind? The whispers lingered in my thoughts, a haunting reminder of the unknown, leaving me with a chilling sensation that the cabin would hold its secrets forever. The shadows of Maple Street. It was just another Tuesday in late October when the Thompsons packed their car for a weekend trip to Ashford. The air was crisp with the scent of fallen leaves, and the family, Mark, his wife Lisa, and their 7-year-old daughter Emma, were buzzing with excitement. Mark aimed to enjoy nature while exploring the old inns, but felt a slight unease about the Victorian house they rented, built in the late 1800s. As they drove down Maple Street, Lisa said, "Look at that place. I hope ours is just as charming." The house loomed, its peeling paint and creaky porch hinting at untold stories. Inside, the faded floral wallpaper and thick air felt like remnants of decades past. Emma dashed upstairs, her laughter echoing in the empty hall. "Feels spooky, huh?" Mark chuckled, hiding his discomfort. "Just old," Lisa replied, though her voice wavered. That night, as they settled in, whispers danced at the edges of hearing. Lisa dismissed it as the wind, but Emma giggled from her room. "Did you hear that? It's a ghost!" Mark laughed nervously. "Just your imagination, kiddo. Let's sleep." The next day, they went hiking, and upon returning, Mark noticed Emma's toys scattered in the living room despite being neatly packed earlier. "Did you take them out, Emma?" she protested, eyes wide. "I was outside." Later, while Lisa prepared dinner, Mark explored the attic. Dust motes danced in the setting sun. Among cobwebs, he found an old trunk filled with yellowed letters and a photograph of a woman in a long dress, her eyes eerily familiar. A feeling of being watched crept over him. In the kitchen, he found Lisa staring at a corner. "What are you looking at?" he asked. "Did you see that? Something just moved." "It probably just a shadow from the trees," he reassured her, though unease settled in his gut. That night, as they lay in bed, the whispers returned, clearer now. Mark lay awake, racing through rational explanations. "There's a logical reason for everything," he murmured. But when he turned to Lisa, she was awake, eyes wide. "Did you hear it too?" she whispered. "Yeah, must be the old pipes." The next morning, Emma awoke them with a fright. "Mom, Dad, there's a lady in my room!" Mark rushed in, heart pounding, but the room was empty. "Emma, it was just a dream," he said, doubt creeping in. "No, she was sitting on my bed, and she looked sad." "Just your imagination, sweetie," Lisa echoed, but her voice lacked conviction. Over the next few days, the atmosphere thickened. Objects began to move, books fell from shelves, lights flickered. One evening at dinner, a plate slid off the table and shattered. "Did you see that?" Lisa exclaimed, eyes wide. "Must be the old house settling," Mark said, feeling the tension rise. As the sun set, Emma insisted on drawing. "I want to draw the lady," she said, crayons dancing across the page. Mark glanced over, breath catching. The drawing depicted the woman from the photograph. Same dress, same sorrowful eyes. "That's interesting," he stammered. "Where did you see her again?" She shrugged. "In my room. She looked lonely." That night, Mark decided to confront the shadows. He stepped outside, the chill of autumn biting at his skin. "If there's anyone here, show yourself," he called, heart racing. The only response was eerie silence, but he felt an unusual weight pressing down. Just as he turned to go inside, he glimpsed a pale figure in the window, staring back. He blinked, and it was gone. The next morning, they packed up, eager to leave the oppressive atmosphere. As they drove away, Emma waved at the house, frowning. "I'll miss her." "Miss who?" Lisa asked. "The lady," Emma replied, gazing at the fading silhouette in the rearview mirror. Mark exchanged a glance with Lisa, both unsure of what to say. As they left Maple Street behind, the whispers seemed to follow them, lingering in the air, a soft reminder of the house holding its secrets close. Had they imagined it all, or was there truly something, or someone, waiting in the shadows? As the road stretched ahead, the line between reality and imagination blurred. leaving them with an unsettling question: what truly haunts us? Title: Shadows of Maplewood Lane. Life at Maplewood Lane had always been ordinary for the Johnson family. Sarah, a dedicated nurse, cared for others, while her husband, Tom, worked long hours as an IT specialist. Their children, Emma and Jake, filled evenings with laughter and the occasional squabble over the remote. Moving to Maplewood had seemed ideal, a cozy new beginning. But soon after settling in, things began to change. It started subtly. One evening, as the family gathered for movie night, Emma gasped, her eyes wide. "Did you see that?" she whispered, pointing towards the hallway. Tom chuckled, ruffling her hair, dismissing it as a trick of the light. "Just your imagination." But Sarah felt a chill race up her spine, sensing they weren't alone. In the following weeks, shadows deepened. Objects vanished and reappeared in odd places. A favorite toy turned up in the attic, while Sarah's bracelet was found beneath the couch. "Mom, I swear I didn't put it there," Jake insisted, his voice trembling. "It just showed up." "Maybe you're just forgetting," Tom suggested, shrugging it off. Yet Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. One night, as the family settled into bed, a soft whisper echoed through the house. "Help me." The words were faint but distinct, sending shivers down Sarah's spine. She exchanged anxious glances with Tom, who looked skeptical. "It's probably just the wind," he said, rolling over to sleep. But the whispers persisted, growing louder and more urgent, a haunting melody filling the night. Emma complained about shadows creeping into her room. "They watch me, Mom," she whimpered, clutching her stuffed bunny tightly. "Sweetheart, it's just your imagination," Sarah reassured her, though doubt gnawed at her. Days turned into weeks, and the strange occurrences intensified. One afternoon, Sarah returned home to find the living room curtains fluttering wildly, even though the windows were shut tight. "Did you leave the windows open?" she called out to Tom, who was still at work. "Nope," he replied over the phone, his voice casual. "Just relax, it's probably just a draft." But Sarah felt a heaviness in the air, a sensation that something was watching her. Then came the night of the storm. Thunder rolled ominously, and rain lashed against the windows. As the family huddled together, the lights flickered, and just as they went out, Emma screamed. In the pitch-black darkness, something seemed to shift in the room. "Did you see it? The lady! She was right there!" Tom sighed, clearly frustrated. "Emma, it's just the storm. There's nothing there." But Sarah felt it too, a presence lingering just beyond the light. The following day, Sarah decided to investigate. She rummaged through the attic, searching for clues. Dust motes danced in the sunlight as she stumbled across an old photograph of a woman in a Victorian dress, her gaze piercing and sorrowful. The name on the back read, Margaret. That night, as Sarah lay in bed, she felt the weight of eyes upon her. "Margaret," she whispered into the darkness, "what do you want?" The room grew cold, and the whispers returned, clearer now. "Help me. Find peace." "Sarah?" Tom's voice cut through the stillness, laced with concern. "Are you okay?" "I think there's something here. Maybe it's the spirit of this woman." He shook his head, disbelief etched across his features. "You're scaring the kids. Let's just forget it." But Sarah couldn't ignore it. Over the following days, she immersed herself in local history, uncovering stories of the home's past. Margaret had lived there long ago, a woman lost to tragedy, her spirit rumored to linger, seeking closure. As Halloween approached, the atmosphere thickened. The children's nightmares escalated, and Sarah found herself increasingly restless. One night, as she lay awake, she heard a soft voice beside her, gentle yet haunting. Help me." Bolstered by fear and determination, she sat up, clutching the photograph. "What do you need, Margaret?" The house creaked, a shadow flitting across the wall. In that moment, she felt overwhelming sadness, a longing for something left unsaid. "Mom, are you okay?" Emma's small voice broke through the haze, her eyes wide with concern. "I'm fine, sweetheart," she lied, but deep down, uncertainty gnawed at her. Then, just like that, the shadows receded. The whispers faded. An eerie stillness settled over Maplewood Lane once more. The Johnsons resumed their routines, but unease lingered thick in the air. Occasionally, Jake would shout, "There's a lady in my room!" But Tom would shake his head, dismissing it yet again. As Sarah stood on the porch one evening, watching the sun set behind the trees, she glimpsed a figure in the distance, a fleeting silhouette that vanished just as quickly as it appeared. Was it Margaret, or merely a trick of the fading light? She couldn't tell anymore. Everything had blurred. The line between reality and imagination had become indistinguishable, leaving her to wonder if the haunting was a fragment of her mind or something more profound, something unresolved, lingering like the shadows on Maplewood Lane.